and I start reading something that's not on the screens, okay? So if you'll hang with me for just one moment, let's have a quick look back. Genesis 28, we're in verse 13. And behold, the Lord stood above it. That was the ladder that Jacob had envisioned. And said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie, I will give to you and your offspring. Your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And in you and your offspring shall all families of the earth be blessed. Behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Those were words to Jacob before he arrived in Haran, before he met Laban, before Rachel enters the picture, before Leah is, I don't know how to say it properly, thrust upon him. God had promised Jacob that his descendants would multiply, that they would grow huge, that he would have resources beyond his imagination. And now, in chapter 30, we're about 14 years later. And this is what's going on now. When Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, she envied her sister. She said to Jacob, give me children or I shall die. Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, am I in the place of God who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb? You hear it going on? Leah has conceived 4 sons to Jacob. The one that wasn't wanted, the one that's loved less. And Rachel, the beautiful one, the desired one, is feeling jealous. She hasn't been blessed in the way that she wants. Now, I don't know anything about raising young women. Had 2 sons. I don't know if sibling rivalry is the same way with 2 daughters. But I know my boys would always concentrate on whatever the other one had. There was that excitement. There was that desire. And they both always thought the other one was better off. It seems we're seeing the same thing here. Rachel approaches Jacob and pretty much gives him an ultimatum. I want a child. Give me one now, or I will die. Dramatic much? Can only imagine that Jacob's had a hard day. Why? Because his first response is not a good one. He doesn't do what we guys should do. You know what I'm talking about, guys? When your spouse comes to you that way, the first thing you should do is, oh, honey, come here, give me a hug. You know, you try and make them feel more comfortable. You try to show them they're loved. Instead, he gets mad. And he asks a question that's really a rhetorical question, but it really isn't a question at all. What? Am I God? He understands that God opens and closes the womb. God grants children. I can almost hear in there, because, you know, us men, we're a little cynical and a little sarcastic. I can almost hear in there, hey, I have 4 sons. This isn't my problem, woman. Which I'm sure just calmed her nerves completely. There's the issue going on. Rachel wants what she doesn't have. She wants children. Picking up in verse 3. Then she said, "Here's my servant Bilhah. Go into her so that she may give birth on my behalf, that even I may have children through her." So she gave him her servant Bilhah as wife, and Jacob went into her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Then Rachel said, "God has judged me and has heard my voice and has given me a son." Therefore, she called his name Dan. Vaguely familiar? A wife can't conceive, desires a child, says to the husband, "Hey, here's my maidservant. Why don't you take her as wife, and then I can be the adopted mom of y'all's children." I mean, after all, grandmom and granddaddy did this. And, well, yeah, it did kind of turn out bad, didn't it? So Bilhah and Jacob come together. She becomes pregnant. She conceives a son. Now, it seems like everyone can have children around them except Rachel. But being Bilhah's the handmaid, she is the adoptive mother. You notice it's Rachel that names the child. Names Dan. God has judged me and has heard my voice and has given me a son. I've been vindicated. I now have a son too. Things will get better. And better they get. Verse 7, Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, "With mighty wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister and have prevailed." So she called his name Naphtali. 2 sons. How fantastic is this? She knows that she's loved. She is adored because, Jacob has that look. When Rachel's in the room, that's all he can see. And now, 2 sons, not just children, sons. Rachel's starting to feel like she has the upper hand again. She wrestled with her sister Leah and won. Okay, not a literal wrestling, but figuratively. We've both been able to provide boys for our husband. And I'm beautiful and gorgeous and probably charming. So things are right again. Verse 9. When Leah saw that she had ceased bearing children, she took her servant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as wife. Then Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son. And Leah said, "Good fortune has come." So she called his name Gad. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. And Leah said, "Happy am I, for women shall call me happy." So she called his name Asher. I don't know that sibling rivalry gets any better than this. Yeah, well, you could give your handmaid, and I can do the same. Watch. Oh, a son. Not that we're keeping score, but that's 5-1, 5-2. Oh, wait a minute. She's pregnant again. It's 6-2. I am so happy. I have a basketball team and a reserve of boys for my husband. This is awesome. 6-2. Who's got the weak eyes now? Women will call her happy. In some translations it says, and women will call her blessed. A little foreshadowing of one to come, who all women will call blessed. Things seem to be going really well. That's from that viewpoint. I sit back and I think, Jacob now has what? 5, 6, 7 children. I'm thinking the cost of college tuition. I'm thinking all those boys, how am I going to feed them? But everything seems to be just wonderful. Verse 14. In the days of the wheat harvest, Reuben went and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband? Would you take away my son's mandrakes too?" Rachel said, "Then he may lie with you tonight in exchange for your son's mandrakes." We'll pause there. Mandrakes. Has no shaft, no stalk, has leaves, and there's a violet kind of flower next to the yellow fruit. Now, mandrakes were supposed to have powerful, I just messed that up, powerful powers, miraculous powers. In our culture, in our understanding, they would have the same effect as oysters and an aphrodisiac. It's going to make things better. Reuben's out and he picks some and he takes it to his mom. Oh yeah, there was also a nickname given to mandrakes. They were called love apples. I just like the sound of that. So Leah has them, and Rachel comes to her. Now, the magical powers, the incredible powers of these mandrakes, Rachel's figuring maybe this will do the trick. Maybe if I can have some of those, things will happen, and I myself can have a biological child and not just live through my adopted sons of Dan and Naphtali. So she asks her sister Leah, "Can I have some of your son's mandrakes?" And she is met with, "Not enough for you to steal my husband? You want to take my son's stuff too?" You get the feeling Leah still isn't happy with her life? Get the feeling that there's an annoyance there, there's still some issues? So Rachel did the only thing she could. She bartered. Let's make a deal. You give me some of your love apples, and I will tell Jacob when he comes home, tonight is your night, and you can spend the evening with him. We aren't fully given any answer here, it just kind of lays out there. And verse 16 picks up. When Jacob came from the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come in to me, for I have hired you with my son's mandrakes." So he lay with her that night. When I look at that, Jacob does a whole lot of work to be told what to do. I mean, it all started with Laban, "Hey, I'll work 7 years for your beautiful daughter Rachel." Sounds great to me. Get out there, get to work. 7 years come, whoops, I'll slip in Leah. Can't do that. Hey, you serve me another 7 years, I'll give you Rachel. Now he goes out to work, he comes in, and he meets his first wife, Leah, and she says, "Oh yeah, I have purchased you. You're mine for tonight." And God listened to Leah. And she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. Leah said, "God has given me my wages because I gave my servant to my husband." So she called his name Issachar. 5 sons. And Leah conceived again, and she bore Jacob a sixth son. Then Leah said, "God has endowed me with a good endowment." Hear it. "Now my husband will honor me because I have borne him 6 sons." So she called his name Zebulon. Afterward, she bore a daughter and called her Dinah. 6 sons, and now perhaps Leah has the understanding that Jacob will honor her. He will care about her. He will love her. Here is a woman so desperately seeking unconditional love. She sees how Jacob looks at her sister. She wants that. Maybe now with 6 sons. Oh, and by the way, she gives birth to a daughter, Dinah. Notice there's no discussion of what the name means. It almost seems like Dinah's just thrown in there, and I don't think it's because she's female. I think she's thrown in there so you hear that Leah has 7 children with Jacob. A complete whole number. Now that is in terms of Jewish numerology. Nothing could be better than 7 children. That's a swarm. Then God remembered Rachel. And God listened to her and opened her womb. She conceived and bore a son and said, "God has taken away my reproach." And she called his name Joseph, saying, "May the Lord add to me another son." No mention of the mandrakes. Rachel seems to understand that it is God that opens and closes the womb. She honors God. "May the Lord add to me another son." She recognizes the source of this blessing. And she herself has finally conceived. So with all this goodness going around and all of these blessings, it's time for Jacob to rock the boat. Verse 25. As soon as Rachel had borne Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me away that I may go to my own home and country. Give me my wives and my children for whom I have served you, that I may go, for you know the service that I had given you. My time's up. I have served 14 years for you. I have worked off the payment for Rachel and Rachel's sister. Transaction completed. I'm taking my wives and my children, and I'm going home. But Laban said to him, if I have found favor in your sight, I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you. Name your wages and I will give it. Do you hear it? Laban recognizes that God has blessed him because Jacob is there. See, that goes back to chapter 28. I will bless your descendants, and through your descendants I will bless all the families of the world. It started. It's happening. And interestingly enough, the world is recognizing it. Jacob said to him, you yourself know how I served you and how your livestock has fared with me. For you had little before I came, and it has increased abundantly, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I turned. But now, when shall I provide for my own household? Laban said, what shall I give you? Jacob said, you shall not give me anything. If you will do this for me, I will again pasture your flock and keep it. Let me pass through all of your flock today, removing from it every speckled or spotted sheep and every black lamb, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and they shall be my wages. So my honesty will answer for me later, when you come to look into my wages with you. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and black among the lambs, if found with me, shall be counted stolen. I hear you, Laban. I hear you, father-in-law. You want me to stay with you because you seem to think I have the Midas touch. God has blessed me and God is blessing you through me. All right, here's what we can do. We can walk through all of your flocks, and I will take the irregular ones. See, lambs are supposed to be white. All white. So I'll take the strange ones. Any black lambs, any speckled or spotted lambs, I'll take them. And goats are supposed to be black. So if you give me any of the striped or speckled goats, or the white ones, that'll be my pay, and I will continue to pasture your flocks. And I'll take the speckled and spotted, the strange ones, the abnormal ones, so later on you can come and inspect. And if there are any that are pristine, that meet that perfect demand of what a sheep or goat would be, you'll know it's stolen. I want my honesty to stand before you. I love that. The guy who has stolen a birthright and a blessing from his brother is talking about his honesty and his goodness, and he would never take anything from his father-in-law. Laban said, good, let it be as you have said. And that day Laban removed the male goats that were striped and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had white on it, and every lamb that was black, and put them in the charge of his sons. And he set a distance of 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob pastured the rest of Laban's flock. Sounds like a good deal. Laban gets the authentic, the perfect specimen of the breed. If they were dogs, he would get the CKC certified legitimate ones. Jacob gets the mutts. Those that have a defect that takes them off of the standard for the breed. And then just to be sure, Laban has all of those speckled irregular ones that are now Jacob's. Take a 3-day trip away from his so there's no confusion. As if you couldn't tell if a lamb was white and a goat was black. Verse 37, then Jacob took fresh sticks of poplar and almond and plane trees and peeled white streaks in them, and exposing the white of the sticks, he set the sticks that he had peeled in front of the flocks in the troughs, that is, the watering places where the flocks came to drink. And since they bred when they came to drink, the flocks bred in front of the sticks, and so the flocks brought forth striped and speckled and spotted. And Jacob separated the lambs and set the faces of the flocks toward the striped and all black in the flock of Laban. He put his own droves apart and did not put them with Laban's flock. Whenever the stronger of the flock were breeding, Jacob would lay the sticks in the troughs before the eyes of the flocks, that they might breed among the sticks. But for the feebler of the flock, he would not lay them there. So the feebler would be Laban's, and the stronger would be Jacob's. Thus Jacob increased greatly and had large flocks, female servants, male servants, and camels and donkeys. This strange story gives us our first real glimpse of hope for Jacob. No, not that he seems to have a master's level degree in zoology and understands the mating of goats and sheep. That's not it. He's ingenious, which is kind of neat. But for the first time, he doesn't gain something by deception. He works it, he understands it, and he puts things in place for God to work. There's no manipulation, there's no cheating, and no lying. And through the course of this chapter, we see the most impressive thing of all. We see God's promise being fulfilled. He's gone from a man all on his own, Jacob, running away from a brother who wants to kill him, a father that he has deceived and dishonored, showing up in a foreign land looking for a wife. Not only does he now have one wife, he has two, and he has a house full of kids. And now he has flocks upon flocks. There's the understanding, the recognition that God is even blessing Laban because of Jacob. And I will bless you so much that your descendants will have to move to the east and the north and the south and the west. They're going to have to scatter because there's not enough room here. And because of you and them, I will bless all the nations of the earth. It's happening. God's word is holding true even in the life of someone like Jacob. Someone who has relied more on his cunning and deception than his faithfulness. We wonder how God could bless that. But you know, we aren't much different. We each have problems and struggles where we take shortcuts of our own doing to try to come out on top. We each have staggered and stumbled, and let's be honest, we have fallen. But God looks and he doesn't say, oh, you stupid, stupid guy. Although I say that about myself a lot. He just picks us up and dusts us off and promises to be with you until you see his full promise fulfilled. And how does that promise be fulfilled? Well, that doesn't come for a few thousand years later. When a woman not named Leah would be called blessed. Well, even more than her just being blessed, blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. See, with Jesus, everything becomes different. He's enough to pick us up and look at us and say, I see a whole lot of speckled and striped sheep out there. Come to me, trust in me, and I will make you what the breed is supposed to be about. I will make you holy. I will make you loved. And even more than being holy and loved, I will forgive you. And I will be with you always, even to the end of the age.